It's Jefferson, climbs the ladder. Oh my goodness! Come
Welcome one, welcome all to another Summer League slate, day 4 of the NBA Summer League. We got college basketball goat Steve Boynton with us and Kurt Jones as well at Summer League to start out. It's been a great time. And I'll come up to you, Steve. First time on the show in the Summer League this year. How you doing?
I'm good. Really enjoyed the game so far. I didn't play much Summer League last year, so I don't really know what came over me to jump in this year. But played that first day. I think it was Friday that they had the larger slates, and it's gone really well so far. I think that obviously the content is great. Your projections help a ton. Kurt obviously has all the information, and then there's just like small decisions between guys that I think having the college background helps a bit, making decisions, 1v1s, stuff like that. So I've loved it so far. I can't wait to watch tonight during the MLB break. We'll have the home run derby on one screen and the Summer League on the other. So I'm pumped.
100%. That's the great thing too, is that all these guys in college basketball, whether they played there 1 year or 4 years, and then the NBA background that I have too. And we just blend all this together. I mean, it's great having this college basketball and NBA kind of world meet, creates a perfect blend, and someone who plays both. Kurt, how are you doing today, man?
Yeah, I play all three, actually. You got to count your league, baby.
I'm
doing good. A little bit of technical difficulties at the house, so I don't have Wi-Fi. So I'm at the other house, and I do have Wi-Fi. So we're making it work. It's storming here pretty bad, so hopefully my power doesn't go out. But nonetheless, I'm ready to get after it. Yesterday it was a very, very wacky day. A lot of the big chalk didn't do that great. Shaden Sharp, and then early we had randomly Nimhart decided to play, which killed Noel, even though he missed every shot still. But yeah, nevertheless, ready to get back after today. As we saw, we got a lot of guys getting shut down. Hopefully we don't see that tonight. Hopefully it's after these guys' second games. But let's get after it.
100%, 20K up top, 6 games to go through. We won't waste much time diving into them now. And the first game is between the Memphis Grizzlies, who have a bunch of popular guys like Kenny Lofton, Jake LaRavia, and we got guys like David Roddy, too, who disappointed last game. And then you look on the other side of the ball, this is the Cleveland Cavs, kind of led by Isaiah Mobley, and then it's a little bit of a wasteland with minutes being a little bit spotty. Kurt, I'll give it off to you here first. What are you doing with this first game? And is Kenny Lofton, after he was 80% the first game, are you going back to him now in this game too?
It's tougher today with pricing. I haven't decided about a main team. The nice thing is if we come out and we get starters, it's really hard not to just plug in Kenny Lofton, a guy who has absolute slate breaking upside. If he starts, you have to imagine he's 28 plus again. And it's nice that we get the starters. So I think it actually is kind of a safe play when you put it into those perspectives, but I kind of like the mid-tier bill. I think it's going to be the winner and the optimal today. So I think LaRavia for cheaper is very reasonable. The guy can stuff the stat sheet. I think he provides a better floor points for value wise. As far as Cleveland goes, I think we got a good chance to go after some value as far as Sam Merrill goes, Amani Bates, stuff like that. I'd prefer Sam Merrill. And then Craig Porter Jr. also looked decent if you're running a lot of lineups. I don't know if we have him projected, but I like to know Wichita State. Long wing, can shoot, can defend, can do everything. Besides that, obviously the Memphis Big Three, we all know what to do there. And then Mobley's one of the safest cash plays on the board. Just probably going to walk into another 30-burger.
Yeah, you look at it. There's another name that I didn't mention, Vince Williams Jr., who barely played last game. He's a very good player.
Vince, bro. He DNP'd one of the games in Utah, and then he played the game he did play. He's not seen over 23 minutes yet, and they've played 4 games. So that's very concerning to me.
Exactly, and he's a guy who has all this talent, but then he takes away just minutes from other people, and it kind of creates a big 3 for Memphis. And then, obviously, on the Cleveland side, I know Steve has a great opinion on Amani Bates, an opinion that is very much correct. But at 5.8K tonight, with a usage rate as crazy as Amani Bates, Steve, are you going to have any Bates tonight?
Yeah, so for college, I usually run one team. I've just been running one team for Summer League. Yeah, the price is good on him for the volume. My Amani Bates takes are more real-life takes. He's an awful, actual basketball player, but that doesn't really matter for us, right? He's under 6K. I think Kurt nailed it. All of these slates so far have pretty been, at least the way I've been playing it, stars and scrubs. But with the pricing today, I don't think that we can comfortably do that, at least if you're playing like a main lineup. So I'll be living in the mid-range more than I usually am, more than I'm frankly comfortable doing. So yeah, him at 5'8" is nice. Kurt mentioned Isaiah Mobley. My only concern in that game yesterday, I'm not sure if it's because they were up by like 20 plus, but he didn't play much in the second half. The minutes went down from the game on Friday. He was crushing though. So like, if you think that his minutes go back up to the high 20s, I think he's a better play, but like above 7K, if he's going to play 22, 23 minutes and be popular, I think that might be something that I personally want to get away from in a main lineup. It's just a lot of risk for spending that much on a guy that isn't seeing those high 20s minutes when like the guys around him are. So I think those are my big takes on this game. You mentioned the Memphis Big Three. Prices went up significantly. Like you're playing Lofton over the true studs of the slate, like Hardy, guys like that. Robinson, I think Jackson is a great play. So lots of decisions here. Not my favorite game overall.
Glad.
Yeah, well, like my first run through and projections, it didn't feed me any Grizzlies at all. David Roddy was actually my highest owned Grizzly, and that's the vanilla projections I just put in without any roll set. And then the next one popping up was Jake Laravius. I barely have any Lofton right now, and all my optimals are just hitting mid-range builds almost, with the exception of one stud, right? And that stud is someone we'll get to. And Kurt, what did you want to add there?
I'm so glad Steve brought up the fact that the Cleveland guys all kind of went down in minutes. We saw Sam Merrill drop 2. I think that was kind of holding them back a little bit with the back-to-back. They had the little lead. They know they're on a back-to-back. I think that's why we saw the minutes go down. And in a weird way, I think it's kind of a good sign as far as like, okay, we saw them play 28 and they went down to 23 because they're back-to-back and they were up a little bit. I think we see them go back to 28 here. Obviously, there is a risk that maybe it just keeps going down, but like it's Sam Merrill. Like, I mean, and it's Mobley. Like, what are those guys really going to attribute to the Cavs team this year? So I think we see it go back up to the north of like 27 minutes for both of those guys.
Yeah, I'm banking on them. Hopefully, getting that uptick in minutes, and hopefully, it was more due to the nature of the game. Like Steve said, they were killing the Raptors there, and on a back-to-back, maybe they were kind of holding them back. But I would definitely limit. I wouldn't get too happy with one of these guys. Merrill's actually hitting a ton of teams and stuff because of what he did in the first game. But we'll go ahead and move on to game two now, too. This is the Phoenix Suns who have Jordan Goodard. He's unlikely to play. I mean, he's not completely ruled out just yet, but that's going to be big news to monitor. And then it's the Miami Heat. It looks like Nikola Jovic, after he left the first game with an injury, he didn't practice yesterday, but then he said, I can't wait to be out there. And Caron Butler, their head coach of the Summer League teams, did say that he's looking forward to seeing him out there today. So I think Jovic plays. I think Goodwin sits, and that kind of sets up a nice game. And a favorite stud on the slate for me is Orlando Robinson. Kurt, what are you doing with this first game? And is your favorite stud Orlando Robinson today?
Yeah, I think he is. Like you mentioned, the rebound floor is just massive with him. I do think he takes a big hit as far as scoring the ball goes with Jovic back. Like 36, it ain't happening. I think probably closer to the 20-ish, maybe 18 range. But you can tell me you're going to go out there and get 18 and 10. Like, it's just – that's so nice to just take that and move on. I will say they kind of did a little Jekyll and Hyde situation last year where they kind of, like, took away his minutes randomly in one of the second or third games. So something that I'm scared to go completely all in on just because of what we've seen in the past and Jovic coming back. But, I mean, it's really hard not to just plug in the guy after he dropped freaking 64 fantasy points. So I understand that. And then Drew Smith absolutely went off. Jovic coming back really kills him. So not much interest there. And then that's really the extent of it. I think you play Jovic if you want to get different GPPs, especially if we confirm that he's starting, which we will because they get the first game. I mean, you can build an absolute great lineup. If we get confirmed he's starting, you can do Jovic, Jackson, and like another like 8K-ish range guy. And those can be your 3 studs, and you go bounce the rest of the way, and that's very nice.
Yeah, and talk about these Phoenix guards, too. I mean, this Phoenix guard situation is going to be probably the key to the slate tonight. We saw it with Portland yesterday with Scoot Henderson, the injury that they suffered in the first game along with Keon Johnson, too. And it opened the door for Michael DeVoe. I'm going to go right back to you, Kurt, but like talk to me, Grant Sherfield, Marcus Carr, and I'll go to you too after this, Steve. But like, those are two guys that you guys are very familiar with, I imagine.
Yeah, so I'm actually really glad that Steve's on here for this point because I just don't see it. If Goodwin's out, we're assuming he's out. Grant Sherfield's the safest. He played the most minutes, probably will be the one to run the offense. But if we randomly see Marcus Carr start, I think we have a situation like yesterday with Michael DeVoe where it's like 4K for Marcus Carr starting and probably running the offense is in a it's really hard to pass up. I think he can do a lot of different things, especially in a wide open like setting like the summer league. So I personally will bump him up big time. I hope we get the starters. Oh, we will for Miami game. Sorry. I'm not used to there being not an early game, so a little bit confusing there. But yeah, that changes the whole slate. We're going to get – I mean, I think you have to play one of the starting guards for Phoenix. Legit. I should set a rule. One of those guards need to start. And I'm hoping it's Marcus Carr randomly, but more likely go the safe route. It's going to be Grant Sherfield. So leave that $800.
Yeah, and Steve, can you tell me a little bit more about Sherfield? I'm not really familiar with his game. I respect it.
Yeah, played at Oklahoma last year. He's a good player. Like he was one of the studs on every slate that they were on. I think if he starts, he's especially on this slate, right? Like the last couple of days, we've had a bunch of guys under 5K to use. I think that he's going to end up being the safest, kind of by far, under 5K on this slate. For a guy that plays one lineup, I'm definitely going to have him if he starts. And I think my decision is, am I playing two of these Phoenix guards? I think people will go to some Barry Brown at 4K. He's like, I don't know. He was in college a long time ago. He's got to be 26, 27 years old. Marcus Carr is interesting, man. Like he can run the offense, like Kurt said. I worry a bit about the minutes. So like if Carr doesn't start, I probably won't use him. But if Carr starts, I think I might be tempted to play both of the Phoenix guards there. I don't really have any interest in anyone else on Phoenix. I know Trey Jemison, I guess, is in play at 4-3 just because of the price. I think if you're playing two studs, I think Jemison's in play. Played at UAB, just kind of a rebounder. I think the game that we saw was that Saturday, probably going to be his best game that he plays. He wasn't really an option for DFS even in college, kind of a glue guy, rebounder type. But on a slate where we don't have that many 4K plays, I think that he's definitely viable if you want to play multiple studs. On the Miami side, I'm a bit worried about Robinson here. I think he's going to be insanely owned coming off the smash game. We all had him in that first game. The price is nice, but there's a couple things, right? Like they get Jovic back. Jamal Cain had a shitty game, played a lot and had a crappy game. I think Jaquez might play tonight, right? I think you're just adding a lot of mouths to that team. Robinson's not going to take 25 shots again. And I think he's going to be like over 50% owned. And on a slate where I'm going to be mostly balanced, I'm probably only going to be able to play one stud. And I'm going to be trying to get away from him on my main team. Obviously, he could play, right? But with all the factors that I said, plus the ownership, I think it's worth on a 6-game slate. Like there's a lot of guys above 8K that can match or beat him. So that's probably the way that I'm going to go on a main team.
Yeah, and that's a great point. I mean, Orlando Robinson, he's just an athletic, just a hugely athletic guy. I mean, he's going to be able to get the rebounds, he's going to be able to get the block shots, and he pieced it together. He hit some threes, which I saw that, and I'm just like, goodness, this man's going to be able to shoot the three. That's going to benefit him greatly. I just think his floor is pretty high. You look at it, I think he can walk into 12 boards, 3 blocks, and all of a sudden you're sitting there at 21 DK. Whatever he does with the real points is what will determine his outcome. But even as the highest projected player, he only pops up in 30% of my teams at first, which is definitely going to be underweight to the field. But it goes to the point, like, there's so many guys. Like, you just see the projections right here. Agbaji, Mathurin, Isaiah Jackson, Kenny Lofton. All these guys can definitely match Robinson or go better. And going underweight if you are doing multiple teams. But, in one lineup, I mean, Orlando Robinson's probably your best bet for floor and upside. But definitely don't be afraid to get different, especially if you're in that 20K to first. It's a top-heavy GPP. You don't want to just follow the chalk if you're only playing one team. So it's a great point. And by the way, guys, 300 of you watching, we greatly appreciate if you hit the like button. Use code SUMMER33 to join the site. Gets you access to all the MLB, NBA, golf, anything, any content that you want for all sports. We have it covered at Run Deer. And done with game 2, we'll go ahead and move over to the third game, which is now Philadelphia and Dallas. This is a game that just feels really gross to back the Dallas side. Like, outside of Jaden Hardy, I am not interested in a single Dallas piece other than maybe AJ Lawson. And then I go to the Philly side of things, and maybe it's Jaden Springer, Javonte Smart, Turk Smith, Ricky Council. There's some guys better on the Philly side, but Kurt, what are you doing with this Dallas-Philly game? It seems kind of gross outside maybe Springer and Hardy.
Yeah, it's very toughly priced. Like Lively and Prosper are going to play more today. Dudley came out and said that, but like that's a lot of money to pay on a slate where we just have so many other options. So it's really hardy for me up top, but it's like, I mean, it's all scoring for him. I think he probably matches his 37 range again. I think we can do more points for value wise. Hopefully, he just doesn't have that 50-point game, which we know he's all capable of. Take a shot on Springer if you want, but this is mostly like a cross-off game for me. I wish Philippe Peterson was like in Brown because they're splitting time. I wish they were like 5K so we can think about it, but nah, this is a cross-off game.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And Steve, I'll kick it to you because I know Turk Smith actually played him in a couple slates last year. He's got a lot of talent. Seemed to shoot the ball pretty decently. I think you're going to be similar with just Hardy on the Dallas side, but tell me about Javonte Smart and Turk Smith a little bit, and even Ricky Council, some guys that I haven't heard of.
Yeah, I mean, this Philly team's got a bunch of good guards. The issue is the pricing, right? Like the cheapest one is 6'9", and they're all between 6'9" and 8'5". None of them really stand out to me. I think Turk would be my favorite play just because he can get hot from deep and he's going to add steals. Like he had 3 or 4 steals in the first game, played a ton, played 29 minutes. I like him. If you're playing multiple teams, I'm not going to play him on like my main, but yeah, I like Turk Smith the best. Smart, I don't love at 8'5". Like when you're at that price, you're pretty close to guys like Isaiah Jackson, who I really, really like on the slate, and Robinson, who we just talked about. So I'm not really considering anyone from this game on my main lineup. Played Hardy the other day, felt fortunate to get to the 37. He scored like 12 actual points in the last 6 minutes of that game, or maybe even more than that. So yeah, I think it would be him and then maybe a couple of the guards on the Philly side, but no one jumping off the page here price-wise.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And I think if you were doing multiple teams and stuff, like, I keep talking about it, I think I'd limit to just one of these guards for Philly. Not that like you just want to set that rule, but they're all going to grade at least kind of decent just because they're all projecting in the 30s. Just make sure you don't double up the guard situation in Philadelphia. I'd max it at 1 between Springer, Smith, and Smart. And then for Dallas, like I'm literally, maybe I'll keep AJ Lawson in the pool, but I'm going to X out everyone except Jaden Hardy, I think. So, yeah, I think we can completely agree. It's an underwhelming game. They split the center minutes in Philly. Dallas really split. I think everyone played in Dallas on that Dallas team. So just a really gross game in general. So we'll move over to a not so gross game. Is the Pacers versus the Magic. And the Pacers ran out a team that, they'd still be a lottery pick in the NBA, but they had a lot of talent out there with Mathurin, Jackson, Nembhard, Jarris Walker, and just really a great team all around. Mathurin shot poorly, but he did showcase a tremendous amount of upside. Isaiah Jackson hit 50 last game, or maybe 49. It might have gotten stat corrected down. And obviously, Nembhard did his thing too. I don't know what to do with the Pacers completely. I think they have a ton of upside, but they are also priced up, and it doesn't really fit the narrative of a mid-tier build. So I'm not getting a ton of Pacers. Kurt, what's your situation with the Pacers looking like?
It's just tough. It's really scary because they all play 30-plus again. I mean, the pricing is really hard with everyone 10K. There's not like – this isn't like regular NBA where we have a 3K guy to play. The min price is 4K. That is a huge difference. It's a huge difference. It's making it really tough on us. So it's like, I think if they just stay under 40, we're fine. Or like under 45, we're fine. So Jackson's in play for me because he's fairly priced. But, I mean, Benny Mac will probably shove. I can't afford that, though.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's just the affordability thing is the biggest part of it all. Isaiah Jackson being power forward and center eligible kind of creates that little bit of window where you can play him in the forward spot or center spot. And I think it gives him a little bit more flexibility. And 8.7K is not a bad tag at all. Any Magic interest for you, Kurt?
Just Kevon Harris. The guy is a scorer in the G League. He's going to get a bucket, but that's about it.
Yeah, Harris really crushed last game. Was a little bit highly owned too. I think he was pretty cheap. Didn't you even consider him, Steve? Right in last slate.
There's no.
I played him last slate.
That's right. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, he was my last guy in. I was not thrilled by clicking him, but man, he played well. I wish Anthony Black was cheaper. He looked great in that first game, but 9,700 is tough.
Yep.
The interest to me is on this Indiana side. I mean, just looking at this team, if they continue to play all of these guys, I think they're going to win the whole thing.
Yeah.
I mean, look at this fucking lineup. Yeah, I have a ton of interest in Isaiah Jackson at 8-7. Almost had the triple-double with fouls in the last game. Had 8 fouls.
Ooh, news.
What's up?
Suns news, Goodwin and Pender are not playing, and then Vince Williams is not playing.
I bet. Perfect.
So Gregory Jackson, the biggest bump with Vince Williams out. I mean, David Roddy, Jaime Jaquez, man, shout out to Chief. We got to send him some gear. Jaime Jaquez is not in uniform. Chief, if you're listening, you're going to get some gear for sure. GG is going to smash. Travis mentioned a comment earlier. So we got to consider the studs more. 4K guys open up. The thing is, like, the people that would become strong plays are not 4K. Like, I went through and looked at the 4K guys, and it's like, who even are they? And there's no way it's going to be multiple. GG's 4.9.
Yeah, that's cheap.
So we can't.
That's cheap on this slate.
Oh no, for sure. I'm agreeing with you, but like, it's not giving us 4K guys we can shove in and play these 10K guys. It's just not. It's not possible.
No, I just don't think it's that type of slate, honestly.
Kurt, do you think it's Gregory Jackson who gets the start for Memphis?
Has to be, man.
I'm up his projection.
He's almost a core play for me now. I don't know about you, Steve, but
GG was the number 1 overall prospect coming into this year, reclassed and entered college a year early. So yeah, I mean, obviously talented. If he starts, I'll probably use him at 4.9. Like, I'm dying for this like second under 4K guy, and I am concerned. Like, I think that Carr is going to be a good play, but he could play like 14 minutes. So if GG Jackson starts, I'll probably end up using him.
Perfect. And you can go ahead and finish your thoughts on the Pacers here. You're talking about how they were just such a great lineup, and you're kind of interested here a little bit.
Yeah, I like Isaiah Jackson. I think that with my concerns with Orlando Robinson on my main, I'm probably going to pivot to one of these Indiana guys, and I do like Jackson the best. I think he can beat Robinson's score here. Super efficient scorer. Going to walk into a double-double for sure. Add some blocks. Yeah, I mean, he played 30 minutes in their first game against the Wiz. If he gets 30 here, I think he's definitely going to pay off that 8-7 tag. So he's my favorite for sure. Man, this team's good. What are the odds on them winning? I'm going to pull that up while you guys are talking.
I think they were the favorites, or one of the favorites.
I'm sorry, GG Jackson. His name is Gregory Jackson in the pool. He goes by GG, but it's Gregory Jackson, 4.9K for Memphis.
Yeah, GG.
Did projections too, so you'll see. I gave GG Jackson a projection at 25, just real quick, just so you pop on the page a little bit. I got to start doing my own teams, and we kind of talked about. We have 2 games left, so let's go ahead and dive into these. The last 2 games on the slate, we have Minnesota and Utah. So Minnesota comes in with a little bit of promise with Joshua. Is it Joshua, right? Josh Minott. He played really well last game. Leonard Miller played a little limited minutes, but put up a crazy stat line. I think he had a 16 on 11 in like 23 minutes. Wendell Moore, he shot a ton. He looked like he was the one that they want to showcase the most. So I have a lot of interest in Wendell Moore. Then Brandon Williams, he did really, really well as well. But then as far as Utah, I mean, this is going to be an interesting game for DFS because you got Agbaji, Keontae George, who just had one of the most impressive fourth quarters that I've seen. Micah Potter playing that small ball 4. Kurt, what are you doing with this Minnesota-Utah game?
God, this mid-range build is just so hard not to just jam in today. It's just so safe. You don't get to worry about the guy setting because it's fucking Micah Potter. Like, what are you ever going to set Micah Potter for? They're just going to, just like Miami did. I feel like this guy's been around in every summer league team. They just freaking plug his ass in 35 minutes every single day. I think we just keep playing Potter, which is why I don't care how popular it is. The mid-range build is going to be It's just the safest route today. I think it actually does end up being optimal. Maybe one person does one little slight change, like possibly playing Jordan Miller in the mid-range build that no one's going to play like I like tonight. And then for Minnesota, I really like Josh Minott. I can never say his name right. But he posted a 50 burger last year in Summer League. He's sub 9K, going to be one of the lower-owned studs. I know it's gross to play Josh Minott when we have all these other fun plays up here, but he did make my main GPP build. I feel like he just offered awesome leverage. And then as far as Utah goes, I'm going to be way off Keontae George. I love that they priced him up. I was going to be scared if they made him like 8K again. I do think Samanchas sets again. And you know what? I will have one lineup with Nick Ongonda, Steve, because if they somehow just give him – they've been going kind of small with Potter, but if they do decide to go big, even though there's no real need to, but man, Ongonda, if he played 20 minutes, Ongonda could really put up a big score. The guy can block.
And 100%. I mean, to ensure that you get the latest news as well, make sure to hop into our Discord. You can get it, not only access to all the site and everything too, but all this news is going to come in. King Chief, he's in our Discord. He's really, really helpful. We'll definitely get him to send out some gear. But Summer 33 gets you 33% off your first monthly or weekly purchase as well. Gets you access to all sports, not just Summer League. And Steve, talk to me a little bit about Minnesota and Utah. How much interest you have in this game overall?
Okay, just real quick, the Pacers are plus 900 to win it all. I just bet them. On the Minnesota Jazz game, I don't have any Minnesota guys. I think, like you said, Wendell Moore's interesting. So in college, he was always a guy who stuffed the stat sheet even when he didn't shoot or score. So him taking 18 shots jumped out at me, right? Because he's going to get the rebounds, he's going to get the assists. I really like him at 6'6". I'm actually debating between him and your guy Moussa Diabate from my main lineup.
I think it'd be Moore, to be honest. I love Diabate, but Moore looked like the guy last game.
Yeah, Diabate, he played well, and you won that bet, but the minutes concerned me just a little bit, right? For almost 7K. I do like Wendell Moore. I'm considering him on my main, and then on the Utah side, Agbaji, if you can afford him. Obviously, awesome play. I think he's going to go for 40-plus every game. I mean, plays a ton, 20 shots. The Ongenda call, we played him. Kurt, he had 0 blocks in 15 minutes. I don't think that's going to happen again. The thing with him, I would definitely play him if you're playing a bunch of lineups. He's stone min, and he plays 15, 17 minutes. He could have 5 or 6 blocks, and on a slate where we're kind of starving for value, if you can get a guy, I mean, none of these 4K guys are going to play a ton. I'll play the guy who can rack up points quickly, and the way to do that is with blocks. So I'm not going to play him on my main, but if I was playing a bunch in that 20K to first, I would definitely have him in the pool. You talk about Potter. I'm fine with him. I do think that was probably his ceiling that we saw in the first game. I would expect mid-20s probably. And then definitely not playing Keontae George. He's not going to do that again.
So we just got starters for the Memphis Grizzlies. It is Roddy, Laravia, Lofton, Gilliard, and then Tariq Biborovich.
Dear God, not freaking Biborovich.
He looks like a trash can on his Pro Ballers game log. He averaged 3 points in the Turkish league. And I don't want to hate on him, but I was really hoping for a guy with more than 3 points overseas per game. I know, Kurt, I don't know if you know much about Biborovich.
I know Biborovich. Yes, I know Biborovich. Every time you stack Ferner, Bedavace, this motherfucker starts and just does nothing and takes up time from actual good players. I am so sick of this cuck. He does nothing but waste space. He is a waste of human life.
That's brutal that GG's not starting.
Yeah, I'm going to give him just updated the projections on site too. So if you refresh, you'll see the refresh projections for Gregory Jackson, Gigi Jackson, and Tariq Biborovich. So it doesn't sound like Kurt's interested very much, but we'll go ahead and move on to the last game so that way we can answer any questions that come in as well. So the last game is the Sacramento Kings versus Los Angeles Clippers. Keta is someone who absolutely went off last game, did really well for us, was min-priced, and got a price hike up to 6.3K. Not the most daunting, but there's a lot of guard value on the Kings with Jordan Ford, Colby Jones, and Keon Ellis. Those three will be pretty key tonight. I know that we are big fans of Colby Jones. I wore my Xavier shirt last show I did, so I'm a big fan of Colby Jones. And then I also like Jordan Ford's productivity, but Keon Ellis is right there. So you're going to have a lot of value guards on the Sacramento Kings who are going to hit a lot of builds. And then when you flip over the page to the Clippers, Jason Preston went absolutely off last game. Musa Diabate, he had a double-double, but didn't get as many minutes as I would have loved. And then Kobe Brown did really, really well. The elephant in the room is Xavier Moon had 15 DK points in the last 40 seconds of the game last time they played. So I lowered his projection quite a bit. Hopefully he's a little bit chalky. But overall, Kurt, give me your thoughts on this game, and then we'll move on to Steve and then answer questions for the chat.
We're talking about the last game, right? Oh, my favorite game is Stack. I think there's a lot of options in this game. I think I definitely want at least 2 players from this game, and then probably maybe 3, but definitely at least 2. I like so many options. I'm going to be on the Diabate fade today. I think he's a great rebounder. I think he starts the game with 10 rebounds essentially. But I just like what Jordan Miller and Kobe Brown do. And I like Jordan Miller because he's cheaper than Kobe Brown. I love Kobe Brown's PRA, though, on underdog, as well as I think go hit Jake LaRavia as underdog prop right now. It's probably taken off the board, but it was like, what was it? Rubio 22.5 or something ridiculous.
Yeah, 23.5, I think.
He might get that in the first half. And I've bet his PRA before and got it in the first half. I think this summer league, actually, but probably the first game. But yeah, so go hit those 2 underdog plays. Colby Jones is my favorite. He's in my core. Guy who's off the stat sheet at Xavier and got up. Similar to what Steve was just talking about, Wendell Moore doing this. Stuff the stat sheet. Okay, same thing with Colby. He can do a lot of more other stuff to score. Now, don't get me wrong. The dude's game, he's a bucket. Okay, don't get me twisted. But he can also do some other stuff. I think we see a little bit of everything here. I think he also drops easily 20 points. I'm going to take the over on his points on underdog, too. I think Colby Jones is a great game. You can go Keon Ellis or Ford as one of the shooters. It just depends which guy's shots go in. And then for the Clippers, like I said, I'm going Jordan Miller, GBP play.
Perfect.
Kate is locked. I mean, you all know Kate is a lock for me still, right? Like, come on.
Kata? Yeah, I like Kata a lot.
Yeah.
23K. Steve, what are you doing with Kata? What are you doing with this game in general?
Yeah, we've been talking all show about how guys have been priced up, overpriced. This is the spot where we get some relief from that, especially on the Sacramento side. I think you play – I like Colby. I like Kata. I like Keon Ellis. I don't know much about Jordan Ford. He played almost 30 minutes. Do we think that that's going to stick?
Yeah, I think it's going to stick just a bit.
Yeah, like I'm torn between like Keon Ellis and Ford. I'm not sure if you guys have a lean there. And then on the Clippers side, going back to Jason Preston for sure. Just a lot of plays here. Diabate we talked about earlier. I played Kobe Brown the other night. Encouraging to see him play 30 minutes. I think that he's got upside there. And Jordan Miller, I think, is great too. This is a game stack game for sure. Guys that we played a ton of in college in Kobe and Jordan Miller. Definitely not playing Xavier Moon. So yeah, like I'm debating playing 5 guys from this game in my main lineup.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And so I'm maxing 3 Kings in my teams, the most of any. All the other teams I'm maxing of 2. But the reason why Ford has a slightly higher projection than Ellis, despite Ellis being a little bit more productive in the G League, was the minutes. And that can always be a little bit flexible. But when you get 4 more minutes, Ford does have a slightly lower PPM, and he was a little less productive in the G League. Not too much of a disparity to really truly care about, but Ellis was more productive by the minute last game, or in the G League. Yeah. So I think if you were debating between the two, if you think Ellis gets a bump, I know Spencer Smith just asked the question, Ellis or Ford. I think it's a toss-up. I have more Ford just because of the minutes. Last game, you got 3.5 more minutes. So I'd lean that way. Anyone who has any questions at all, pipe them into the chat right now. We'll do our best to answer them. Kurt just went over some prize picks props. It's Jake LaRavia over 22.5 PRA, points, rebounds, and assists. Colby Jones over PRA is at 18 on underdog at higher as well. And then my favorite is Xavier Moon, lower than 19 points. So those are my 3 favorite, along with Kurt. I'm going to put a decent rack on it and see what we can do. I think the max you can do is 250 there. So maybe I can get 2 more pops in before 6 o'clock. So yeah, if you guys have any questions at all, there we go. We're starting to see some. Favorite Cleveland guard?
Sam Merrill.
I think Imani Bates for me.
Yeah, Bates for Merrill. Merrill's got scored.
I had no idea Bates was. I just ran about. I had no idea he was listed as a guard.
Yeah. Brandon Williams got a lot of usage last game. Got really hot. He's been in the NBA before. He's actually produced at the NBA level. I don't mind it at all. 6,900. Here's a good one. Steve, this is for you. Kobe Brown or Keita?
Keita for sure. Debating playing both though. Like it's tough. Like there's so many guys in the 6 to 7K range that I want to play, and we only have so many spots. Do you guys have a final lean on who was it?
Keon and
Mobley, on Mobley's minutes. Do we think it's more towards the 29 from the first game?
Yes.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Okay. Because if that's the case, then I think he becomes a priority in that range.
Makes sense. Beborovich playable. I gave him a projection of 18 if that hits.
Ew.
Yeah, I know. It's gross. I don't think any of us are huge fans of it.
I watched him. I watch every single EuroLeague basketball game. If he does good today, then pigs will fly. Like that means Rubio could go out there and get a bucket if he does well today.
I could score 15 points in an NBA game if I was given 48 minutes.
You couldn't score 15 on freaking Steve when he's wearing his boat shoes at the party.
Would you guys play Bates and Merrill together? That's my last decision point.
I don't love the game environment enough to do
Probably
that.
not.
Yeah, I think it's okay, but I don't know. They both could have gotten there in game one. That's the one saving grace. Favorite 6K player? Probably going to need names in the chat, guys.
That's tough. So many good plays today.
There's so many good plays in the 6K range. I think my favorite is Tumani Kamara in the 6Ks. Him and Keita, Wendell Moore, Kobe Brown are my top 4 in the 6Ks.
So if you guys are asking about price-specific plays, just throw out the names just to make sure that we know, because it's tough to look it up when you're doing a live show, putting in our teams and stuff. So if you guys have a name like 5,100 left, give us a couple guys. We can answer it a little easier. Yeah. But refer to the projections, too, if you have any questions as well. See if anyone's up there. Key George, top pay up. You're not on the wagon, Steve. I don't blame you. He went absolutely nuclear last game, but don't expect it to happen again. And that price tag is super high. You just talked about Tumani Kamara, Steve, and Kurt. You guys both like him a lot tonight, right?
High usage. I think he's a great that mid-range build is just the nuts.
He's one of my highest. Huh?
Yeah, he seems super safe, right? Like I'm looking for guys with locked-in minutes and roles. He's got both, and he's only 6K. So
with the Pinder and Goodwin news, the more I'm looking at it, like, do we have to play 2 Suns? And I mean, it's starting to get like that. Like I think I want the starting guard for sure. Well, like who I think runs the offense. So Carr or Sherfield, and I want one of Jemison or Kamara. I mean, right? Like, am I crazy? I
have a max of 3 on the Suns and Kings. So I do think that's a really solid strategy. Touch on Arabia again. We're all pretty big fans. We like his over prop on 22.5 on underdog as well. Something just got took off the board. I don't know what Xavier Moon's under got taken off the board. What the fuck? God damn it.
I just hit it too.
Oh, that's tough.
You mean you don't think he scores 20 points in like a
I didn't place the bet yet. You guys are savages. I swear it was all your fault, guys.
He just told me to put it in. I'm fucking sitting here. What do you want me to do?
I screwed up. I should have placed it first. DG coming off the bench, though, a good play. I gave him projection of 19. I think that's very fair, and I think he could get there at 4.9, but we prefer starters in the Summer League. I think that's the main thing. Kavion Harris, we kind of touched upon him. Steve, I'll let you answer that.
I think he's okay as like a last guy, and I'm not prioritizing him.
Perfect. Kamara triple-double with fouls. Yes, that would be great. Ford or Sherfield for GPP, Kurt?
Ford or Sherfield? Give me Sherfield for sure. And then if he doesn't start, we'll play the guy who starts. I want the Suns starting guard. I think runs the offense. We'll be in the Discord telling you who we think it'll be.
Yeah, exactly. Sure. Be in the Discord. Summer 33. We have access to, hopefully to all the news that we can. We try and get our hands on it as fast as possible and upload it, into the Discord as soon as we can. Gilliard. I think Gilliard got a slight tick up with Vince Williams out, but don't get carried away with him. That would be my input on that. Anyone playing Ellis? Ellis is, getting a little bit of steam. Jemison's okay. Yes, I'm just rifling through these real quick for y'all. Jemison is okay. We like him in price. We think last game was more of a ceiling. That's what Steve was kind of talking about. 10-7, 1 and 2. We'd definitely take that for 4K tonight in 26 minutes is the one thing that we do. Over Mobley, 7.5 rebounds. I think that's a fair line. I think the lines have gotten a little bit sharper. So I don't hate it by any means, but definitely not something that I've loved completely.
Yeah, I'll be right around there.
Got 18 fantasy points, 13 minutes off the bench, 24 minutes to start the last game in the Cali Summer League. So he does have upside. Actually, I appreciate that info. think that's solid. I think Boborovic is okay. Kobe and Merrill or Bates and Kayvon Harris. Kurt.
Say it one more time.
Kobe and Merrill, Kobe Brown and Merrill, or Bates and Kayvon Harris.
Give me 2, actually. That feels weird to say.
2, the second one. Bet.
Yeah, I don't like Merrill that much.
Mangone got robbed of 10K last night. That lineup was fire. Yes, I'm pouring one out for Mangone. That was a tough break. He looked like he had it on, and Peyton Watson just sucked. Would you play Jarris Walker and Jackson together? I would not, Tyler.
Don't play Jarris Walker.
Walker's price is so high. I don't see the stocks happening.
He played awesome.
Yeah.
But no.
Moore or Kobe?
I like Wendell Moore there, and I'm
Moore's
a
very
Joey Brown
safer.
guy.
Moore's the
LaRavia
guy.
or Mobley?
I'm playing Mobley in my main.
LaRavia for GPPs. If he plays 28 minutes, I think he crushes.
Yeah,
It's
perfect.
risky with minutes. I think Mobley can see 4 minutes.
Ellis and Ford together for the late 2 game. If you're doing a 2 game, Ellis and Ford are absolutely fine.
I don't think you can play them together.
Yeah.
The late 2-gamer, yeah, but not on the main slate. There's 2 shooting dependent guys. I'd rather play Jones than someone else because Jones will run the offense.
On the late 2-gamer, I'm almost certainly playing both of those guys.
Have to, yeah.
All
Because
right.
one will be chuck 15.
Crushes the Ford down a little bit too. Just got my teams in as well. Let's see how much Boborovic I have.
Oh, God.
None. I took Kurt's word to heart, so if Boborovic gets 30 DK, I'm actually going to kill him. No. Played 28 minutes last game. LOL. Yeah, LaRavia. Thank you, Glock. Yeah,
Hey.
so LaRavia does need to hit his shots. Thank you all for watching Summer 33. Get into our Discord, 33% off your first payment. Would love to have you guys. The one on Jaden Hardy, he is the one Dallas Maverick that we are actually interested in, and all the others I think we're pretty low on. Steve, thank you for joining on. It's been an absolute blast. Might have to get you on tomorrow too, and hopefully tomorrow we might not do an Up the Lock show. We might do it a little bit earlier and have a special guest too. It'll be up to Kurt though. And thank you, Kurt, for joining on. Have a great rest of y'all's day, and good luck with your plays tonight. And have a good one. Bye-bye.